It's incredibly controversial, but a new report out today is casting doubt on the benefits of fracking. Ben has been taking a look at this throughout the morning for us, Ben.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, this, isn't it? Because we've heard the pros and cons on both sides of fracking. And supporters say, look, this is a way of bringing down our energy bills, being able to be self-sufficient on energy rather than having to import gas from overseas. Critics say it's just too expensive, it just doesn't work properly, and frankly, it's bad for the environment. Yeah. So let me run you through what we know, because, well, you know, all of this sounds fine, but the report that's come out today suggests that the government was expecting 20 wells to be up and running by 2020, but so far just 3 are in operation, and there are no plans for any more to come online yet. And look, they've cost the companies themselves a lot of money, but us as taxpayers paying too, £32.7 million spent by public bodies, and a lot of that is the policing around this, just to keep those sites safe, because there have been so many protests about the public health and environmental cost of all of this. And in fact, actually, opposition to fracking growing pretty quickly too. Back in 2013, 21% of people that were asked were opposed to it. Today, that figure has risen to 40%, so clearly a lot of concerns about it. And the report that looks at fracking in England, well, it says opposition is still there because the government hasn't properly analysed the costs, it hasn't developed the right technology, and hasn't worked out a plan for cleaning up after fracking, and that fundamentally is the big issue.
So this report's out. What are the companies actually saying about
Well, there's
this?
only one big company in the UK, actually. That's Quadrilla that's operating. And it was forced to suspend operations at its site in Lancashire because of an earthquake that was caused by the process of getting the shale gas out of the ground. Now, there were reports that they were going to give up on fracking in this country altogether, but they say, look, they're not giving up just yet.
I don't think they pour cold water on the assumptions at all. I mean, the assumptions remain to be tested and be proved. The most critical assumption is the gas there? Is it good quality? Is it producible? We will answer that yes, yes and yes. Now, after that, it is a question for the UK government and for UK policymakers as to how quickly do they want to exploit and develop that resource. Whatever they do, we will be using gas for decades to come. And our argument still consistently is we should develop our own gas rather than rely on imports.
So that's Quadrilla, the operator, and it's, you know, there's a lot of this stuff in the ground. The British Geological Survey says there's 1,300 trillion cubic feet of shale gas resources in northern England, so it's a lot. But
How
as
many
we've
zeros
heard,
is that?
Oh gosh, too many.
15.
But you were asking me earlier to try to picture what 1,300 trillion cubic feet would look like.
Have you done double-decker buses for us?
I've gone one better. Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Okay,
is that right?
Yeah.
So 15 billion Olympic-sized swimming pools, 8 billion Big Bens. Is that helping?
Not really.
20 billion hot air balloons. None of that helping. I mean, it's just such a crazy figure to try and get our heads around. But, of course, as we've heard, fracking is really difficult to get this stuff out. We should remember, of course, look, in Scotland it's banned entirely. In Wales, there's sort of a postponement on it while they sort of assess what's happening next. So what this report looks like is just England. But, you know, there's a lot of this stuff in the ground, but lots of concerns, quite rightly, about the environmental cost, about what it means, about the cost of actually getting it out of the ground. And all the investment now is in renewable energy too, because that's now much cheaper. So the energy you can generate from renewable energy means it's much cheaper for us too. And so therefore, I think there's a real concern about whether the money is being spent in the right place, when maybe we should be looking at renewable energy, given these very strict emissions targets, carbon emission targets that have been imposed by the government.
You enjoyed getting those numbers, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, lots of zeros. Oh my goodness, trying to work out the trillions.
Literally
1,300 trillion is a lot of zeros.
Ben, thank you.